Congratulations, Dan.
Congrats.
Good morning, everyone. Please be seated. Members of the class of 2014, faculty and staff, distinguished guests and families, Trustees Monahan, Missel, and Emeritus Trustee Marion, friends of the university, I welcome you this morning in a spirit of adventure. We have made the call, and we are outside, and we will soldier on. Short of lightning bolts from the skies, we are here. We gather this morning to celebrate the achievements of our graduates, to reflect upon the days that we shared together, to anticipate with a mixture of excitement and anxiety all that lies ahead, and to express relief that exams, grades, and contentious questions from teachers are finally forever behind you, until you have children. Yet surely there is a suspicion lurking among some of you, a suspicion that it is best not to dwell on this morning, that there will be days ahead when you find yourself wistfully looking back on torts and contracts and the sheltered confines of Lewis Hall. We shouldn't avoid the obvious this morning. Your time in law school has been a challenging one for the profession, for legal education, and at times for our own school of law. But neither should we forget another truth, somewhat lost in the midst of all of these challenges. Today marks your entry into a profession that has served this country and society well. It is a noble and dignified profession, and one for which you are well prepared in every way. You know and understand the law. You also know that being a lawyer is so much more than a set of technical skills, more than a trade, more than a job. It is an ethic and carries with it a set of values. If you learned any lesson these last 3 years, I hope it is that one. This is not the occasion, and maybe there is never an occasion, for a non-attorney to offer commentary on the state of the profession and the angst of law school these days. But I have to say, I lament the lost perspective on what we used to call the higher calling of law. I hope W&L can stand as a place that hasn't forgotten that. If I hear one common refrain from alumni of this law school, it is that Washington and Lee prepared them to be not simply attorneys, but a particular kind of attorney. And that must mean, or should mean, that Washington and Lee is not just a law school, but a particular kind of law school, not blindly and anxiously bound by the conformity that characterizes legal education these days, but comfortable with its distinctiveness and confident of its own definition of excellence. Before we get too far into the formalities of the ceremony, I have a request for the graduates. Take note of the people who have gathered here today. Parents, spouses, partners, children, friends, and faculty and staff. They couldn't be prouder. They have sacrificed on your behalf, and you are surely filled with gratitude. But today is your day, and our pride comes from knowing that someone we care about has, after much hard work, achieved a goal and fulfilled a dream. It is fitting that we take note of others who made this day possible. This is the 165th year for the School of Law. For many years, it occupied a spot at the far end of the colonnade, behind you to your left, first in one of the ugliest structures ever constructed in the South, a building that fortunately burned down one night, and even more fortunately when no one was there, and then in the building that is now Tucker Hall. A future Supreme Court justice was educated there, as were several future presidents of the American Bar, many distinguished jurists, and many of the most prominent members of this profession. As you join their ranks, we not only congratulate you, we also charge you with fulfilling your duties. We know that you will meet and exceed the very high standards of those who came before you, and we wish you the very best. I now call upon Dean Nora Dinglagner, who has completed her second year at Washington Lee, and she will lead us through the main part of our ceremony today.
Good morning and welcome. Graduation day is finally here. I know that some of you have been counting down the days to May 10th for weeks. Some of you perhaps even for months. And now, the bittersweet ending of your days as law students is here. and the time for your professional career and as alumni rather than students of Washington and Lee has come. As our outstanding graduation speaker will focus on your future, let me reflect on your time here at WNL. Many of you can remember moving to Lexington, your first day of orientation, the first class in which you were called on. You made history with your arrival, the first law school class at WNL, which had more women than men. And you succeeded while here, individually and as a group. You asked for substance, not just form. Your class did not merely want Martin Luther King Day to turn into a long weekend. Admittedly, probably some of you did. But in the end, you took the lead in developing substantive programming that has set the tone since the inception of the class-free day. Your class put on a highly successful symposium on the 40th anniversary of Roe v. Wade. Successful because it brought both sides to discuss and debate civilly the decision and its aftermath. In recent weeks, you've sensitized us to issues of diversity and inclusiveness, challenged us to empathize with each other and to acknowledge but also embrace our differences. You have left us with a thoughtful and constructive legacy on which I promise we will build in the months and years to come. Most importantly, though, the last few months of your time here at WNL have been overshadowed by the tragic loss of your beloved classmate, Laura Gass. Each one of you knew Laura. Each one of you had been touched by her infectious vibrancy, her good cheer, and her seemingly endless energy. Each one of you had benefited from her generosity, had learned from her in the classroom and outside. She was a role model, not only for all of us, but for all the students in the building. She lifted all of us up, and her presence made each one of us and our law school a better place. A loss of this magnitude can tear communities apart or bring them together. For you, an already tightly knit group, it reinforced your bonds and created new ones. You comforted and supported each other during those dark days, resolved to carry on and honor Laura's memory in doing so. You have earned, in all of this, the deep admiration and respect of the entire law faculty and the law and university administration. The way in which you've conducted yourself this spring has not only been commendable, but truly inspiring. We have visible markers of Laura's presence in the law school, but most importantly, Laura will continue to live on through your class. You go out into the world with a drive to make a difference and secure in the knowledge that your classmates and the law school will support you and stand behind you. To honor Laura's achievements and to recognize her and your devotion to Washington and Lee, upon request of the President, the Board of Trustees has created a memorial presidential degree. Laura Gass will be the first to receive it. And I'm now asking her brothers, Chris and Jason, to come up to the podium to receive the degree from President Russia. members of the class of 2014 to rise. Mr. President, I have the honor to present one candidate for the Master of Laws degree and 126 candidates for the Juris Doctor degree. They have been examined by the faculty and approved by the Board of Trustees. They are to be congratulated on their command of the ways by which justice is attained and commended for their exceptional learning to the advancement of a just social order. I ask you, by your official act, to confer upon them their degrees.
Upon recommendation of the faculty and approval by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer the degree of Juris Doctor of Washington and the University. Please come forward to receive the diploma as your names are called. And I ask that the audience hold its applause until the last graduate has received the diploma.
For the Master of Laws degree, Hussein Ali Moran. For Juris Doctorate, Adrian Lee Atkins. Nancy Beth Anderson. Alan William Andreas Jr. Julia Blair Barber. Alan Douglas Bard. William Jeffrey Beecher. Amy Victoria Bianchini. Joseph Tyler Black. Lauren Elizabeth Bowden. Stephanie Nicole Boheimer. Richard Patrick Balling. Samantha Brewster Owens. Roman Brusabankian. Brian G. Buckmeyer II. Preston Beeman Burns. Mayred Bridget Burrows. William Martin Bush. Teresa Susanna Ray Campbell. Michael Joseph Cara Jr. Avery Devin Kaplan. Gregory Allen Chigmakis. Dirk William Chilcote. John C. Cleveland. Catherine M. Coleman. Gregory Albert Crapanzano II. Jennifer Lindsay Crook. Ilya Danilkevich. Mitchell Lee Davis. Timothy Edward Davis. Diana Yolanda DeVito. Kyle Adam Dolinsky. Chad Michael Dunn. Tiffany Suzanne Eisenbach. Laura Elizabeth Erdman. Emily Iceland Feenstra. Justin Scott Feynman. Catherine Finn Felgenhauer. Bryce Ellsworth Fitzgerald. Megan Elizabeth Flynn. Lauren Felicia Fornica in absentia. Jen May Fox. Stephanie Leanne Fox. David S. Freeman. Olivia Moncure Fritchie. Darby Elizabeth Gooding. Lauren Elise Grigorsic in absentia. Rocky Gupta. Aranita Mitzi Helmer. Kyle Francis Hoffman. Caitlin Hyde Hosmer. Ryan Matthew Roback. Catherine Gordon Humphrey. David Alexander Hurst. Maxwell Jacob Hyman. Keith Alexander Jaworski. Amy Teresa Johnson. Nargis Kalasani. Carissa Thomas Kaziorg. Michael Joseph Keller. Cadman Rob Kiker III. If you have not found them yet, there are rain ponchos under your T. Kuchar. John Joseph Flaherty IV. Joshua Calvin Laguerre. Virginia Dawson Lane in absentia. Candace Yvonne Lennis. Marcus Alexander Laszlo. Gina Rose Laterio. Heather Michelle Lawson. Tiffany Amanda Lee. Edwin Petit Lutkin Jr. Ellen Maureen Marks. Christopher John McDonald. Krishawn Anthony McManus. Randall Wilson Miller. Danielle Liddell Montgomery. Lisa Batul Matby. Elizabeth Louise Rachel Geraldine Schwartz. Erin Elizabeth Savoy. Thomas Lonston Shore. Kristen E. Slaughter. Matthew Arthur Sorensen. Ryan Anthony Stanberry. Annalisa Nicole Stanton. Ryan John Starks. Catriel C. Stockman. Patrick Emerson Sweeney. Dominic Jermaine Taylor. Catherine Ewing Thomas. Rachel Claire Tucker. Prashanthi Rebecca Vaithanayana. Christopher Danielle Wagner. Howard Mackie Rollins. Lucas Russell White. Jason Robert Whiting. Jocelyn R. Rees. Glenn Darrell Williams II. Michelle Catherine Williams. Again, Williamson in absentia. Tyler Mark Williamson. Benjamin Sanders Wilson. Danielle Benjamin Weingart. Jerome Yastani. And Mala Janine Yao. Clearly, I don't think I graced the class of 2014 sufficiently. They're also the hardiest class we may have ever graduated. It is now my special pleasure to introduce today's graduation speaker. Christopher Wolf is not only a graduate of Washington and Lee's Law School, he's not merely a generous and warm-hearted person and known as a brilliant negotiator. He's not only among the pioneers in Internet law, as MSNBC noted, but he has truly turned into a public intellectual on matters of Internet privacy and free speech rights, associated in particular with Internet-based communications, especially in the context of the Web 2.0 world in which we're all, and especially all of you, are living. Chris Wolf is an honors graduate of Bowdoin College and a 1980 magna cum laude Order of the Court graduate of the law school. of the D.C. District Court and has been in private practice since 1982. He was a highly regarded commercial litigator when he moved into the world of internet and privacy law. And how he did that, he will tell you. And today, he leads the global privacy and information management practice at Hydra Levels US. If that didn't keep him busy enough, he is the founder and co-chair of the Future of Privacy Forum, a think tank, and organized the Coalition for Privacy and Free Trade. He's also the National Civil Rights Chair of the Anti-Defamation League and co-author of the 2013 book entitled Viral Hate, Containing its Spread on the Internet. And this book covers a theme close to his heart, guaranteeing free speech rights while preventing the abuse of modern communications venues by those who engage in uncivil discourse, peddle hatred, and vilify others. It is a powerful message of how education and civil courage can turn the tide of viral hate, as long as we reject hate and say something when we see it, loosely borrowed from the TSA. During his career, Chris has garnered countless awards. He's an elected member of the American Law Institute, a unique professional honor which recognizes excellence in the profession and leadership. He sits on numerous boards, but most importantly, Chris is at the table when big data and privacy are being discussed, whether it is in the White House or the United States Congress, in the OECD or in Canada. His white papers and scholarly contributions have informed numerous government agencies, obviously his clients, the legal profession, but also the public, about privacy issues that are implicit in governmental and private uses of the Internet. We are truly privileged today to have with us as our 2014 commencement speaker, Chris Wolf.
Dean B. Meitner, President Ruscio, trustees, including my beloved classmate, Christine Monahan, distinguished faculty, and most importantly, the law class of 2014. I could not be more pleased to be here in Lexington, although, of course, the weather could be a little more hospitable. I'm really honored to be your commencement speaker here today. And to the graduates, my newest colleagues, I offer you my warmest congratulations. Today marks a great accomplishment in your lives. Today, after 3 years of hard work, you have made the leap from law student to lawyer, and that's a really big deal. Congratulations also to your families and friends. It was your love and support that made today possible for these graduates. You have a right to be very proud of what you did together. 34 years ago, I was sitting where you are sitting, although it was sunny that day, having just received my diploma from Dean Roy Steinheimer and President Bob Huntley. I remember my family and friends who were here, including my brother, a 7-year man, class of 69 and 72 law, who introduced me to WL when I was 11 years old. And thanks to a picture I have of my father and me shaking hands right here, I remember my dad wearing a dapper off-white sport jacket, and I remember me having big hair and big glasses. I also remember our attempt to have dinner for 12 at a then-new and long-forgotten restaurant at the corner of Lee and Nelson. And I remember how the chef sent our waiter to Kroger to buy food for our table when the restaurant ran out. But I cannot for the life of me remember who the commencement speaker was, or what he or she said to us. And I think that's the nature of commencement speeches, I'm afraid. With all the excitement of the day, your minds are elsewhere, thinking about the U-Haul rental for your stuff, getting your parents on their way back home, and which restaurant in town might be able to handle a party at 12. And of course, today, with all the mobile devices, you may well be distracted by tweeting, texting, Facebooking, and emailing, doing the multitasking that characterizes our lives these days. More about that in a moment. So as you sit here, basking in the accomplishment of your newly minted JD degrees, perhaps letting your minds wander to dinner tonight, moving dance tomorrow, and bar exams this summer, I hope you'll hear at least a little of what I have to say, and I won't be offended if you don't remember me or remember what the details are 3+ decades from now. but I hope that some of what I say today sticks with you for a little while. Because in keeping with commencement speeches, I want to offer a little advice. Let me start by telling you that you are about to embark on an amazing career. And even if you don't know exactly what that career might be, you may have some idea of what your life as a lawyer may look like. But if you are lucky, your career will evolve in ways that you cannot imagine today at the starting line. The great thing about being a lawyer is the flexibility it provides for you to follow your interests and to pursue opportunities that develop long after you receive your degree. That may be changing jobs at various points or just changing focus, but whatever the case, you have the smarts and you have the training to do great things with your lives. As the dean said early in my life as a lawyer, I was a civil litigator, and I was sure that I was destined to have on my tombstone, he died with his options open. I could not have imagined that one day my practice would focus almost exclusively on internet and privacy law. When I graduated from W&L, privacy concerns were very different from what they are today, and the internet didn't exist. No one had law practice focusing on those things. Given my chosen area of practice, I can't predict what my tombstone will say, but it could well have a hyperlink. In the meantime, I am thrilled to come to work every day and get to work on some of the cutting-edge issues of our time, and I feel very lucky to evolve in my legal career the way that I have. But I remember what one of my mentors told me years ago. He said, the good luck is not enough to succeed as a lawyer. You have to prepare yourself to be lucky. And what he meant by that is that you have to recognize opportunities when they present themselves. Don't be shy about asking to participate when new opportunities appear, and take some risks. Taking risks, of course, means you may encounter failure, and one of my failures was when I thought the much heralded Y2K computer bug would produce a lot of business. It didn't. But it is true what they say about learning from your failures. I also want to tell you that there's no substitute for having mentors in your career, whether informally or formally. Seek them out and benefit from their experience. The law is not a profession for going it alone. I'm really grateful for the mentors I've had throughout my career, and I welcome the opportunity to be a mentor to younger lawyers today. The path through your legal career, whether in private practice, in a corporation, as a legal educator, or in public service, will be unique. But if you do it right, you will love being a lawyer. A few years ago, the American Bar Association asked its readers to send in 3 statements on why they loved being a lawyer. One submitter wrote, "It's the best job in the world. I get to read, write, think, talk, and argue, all the things I would do anyway." Another wrote, "I love that I get to use my brain every day. No situation is exactly the same, and there's always something new to learn." And still another wrote, "America is a society based on law and justice. I love the fact that I have a role in making this ideal a reality, however small." At the time the ABA was seeking submissions, I didn't send in my reasons why I love being a lawyer, but as I've been a lawyer for over 3 decades, I better have a good answer. I love being a lawyer, and I think you will too, because of all of the above reasons, of course. As lawyers, we get to use our brains, we get to advocate, and we get to contribute to the American way of life based on law and justice. But there's an additional reason why I love being a lawyer. I love being a lawyer because it gives me a chance to give back in my professional capacity. And you will love that part of being a lawyer too. Now, some of you may remember an old New Yorker cartoon, and it shows 2 lawyers leaving a courthouse, apparently a senior partner talking to a junior lawyer, with the senior partner saying, "Remember, we can only afford to do this pro bono because of what the anti-bono pays." Well, I disagree with that cynicism, and for the record, I don't view paying work as anti-bono. Rather than pro bono being a drain on paying work, I firmly believe that paying work often comes from the experience gained and contacts made through pro bono and community service. Like virtue, pro bono is its own reward, but it's also the case that lawyers can do very well by doing good. My first paying clients in internet and privacy law matters came to me because of work I did pro bono. I had no idea that work defending a sailor who had his privacy illegally invaded by the U.S. Navy would lead to substantial corporate representation. And but for that pro bono work, I probably wouldn't have the career I have today. What other profession has such a strong history of pro bono work? The term itself is associated with lawyers. You don't often hear about pro bono dentists or accountants. Pro bono lawyers work to right wrongs that otherwise would go uncorrected. Pro bono lawyers have led the fight against discrimination and have spoken out for those without a voice in our society. With pro bono, we benefit both as a profession and personally from giving back, helping people, and serving justice. I want to share a recent example. None of us can forget the horrific shooting at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut. Recently, the parents of a little girl killed at Sandy Hook contacted me. They described a fringe pro-gun activist who was claiming that the Sandy Hook murders were a hoax. And on a website, he posted a picture of my client's deceased little girl, claiming her murder was a made-up story, and that the little girl was still alive. As you can imagine, the publication of the child's picture in that context was horrific for her parents. They asked for our help to take down the picture which they had taken and which they had the copyright. What an honor it was for me and a colleague at Hogan Lovells to take the matter and to be able to help provide at least a little comfort to the grieving parents. When I thought about sharing this story with you today, of course I didn't want to talk about it without first asking for my client's permission, given the obvious client confidentiality and privacy issues, so I asked them. I want to share with you what the mother of that little girl killed at Sandy Hook said in response to my request about the case, to talk about the case. I feel strongly about the importance of pro bono work in all disciplines. Without it, we tend to lose sight of why we do what we do for a living. It keeps us passionate and true to ourselves and our talents, like a compass of sorts. The work you've done on behalf of our daughter and our family has enabled us to soldier on, putting our family back together, returning to work, and advocating for autistic children in safer schools. Placing this battle in your hands has been a great comfort to us. Feel free to share our story. You are part of it now. It's an honor to share that story with you and the mother's encouragement. It speaks volumes and more eloquently, frankly, than I can about the importance and satisfaction of pro bono work. There's another reason I love being a lawyer, and I think you will too. Your training and skills as a lawyer are valuable tools that can advance causes important to you outside of your daily legal work. Whatever your cause may be, there's a great sense of personal satisfaction that comes from using your legal training and skills to advance those causes that are important to you. As the Dean mentioned, I currently serve as the National Civil Rights Chair of the Anti-Defamation League, or ADL as it's known. The ADL's mission is to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and to promote justice and fair treatment for all. The civil rights agenda is broad, and we fight prejudice and discrimination in all of its ugly forms. And for the ADL, I've been able to marry my skills in internet law with the agency's mission of fighting hate and intolerance. Another issue I've applied my legal skills is advocating for equal marriage rights. While respecting that people may have different views on gay marriage, especially in a religious context, this is a deeply personal issue for me. And I feel very fortunate to have had the chance to use my role as a lawyer to promote equal civil marriage rights. On March 27, 2010, I was married under a brand new DC law to my longtime partner and now husband, Jim Beller, who is here with us today. I'm not up here to convince you to join me in my work on internet hate or gay marriage, although I welcome you to those causes if those are causes you care about. I'm up here to tell you that being a lawyer means having the ability to fight for a cause, and that is a great thing. So far today, I think it's fair to say I've been pretty upbeat about being a lawyer, because I am. But I do have a concern for you. No, it's not the rain, and it's not the economy. I'm confident that you will overcome short-term financial challenges. My concern is about the typing, texting, and tweeting that is overwhelming personal relationships today. I am troubled about the overuse of technology in our society and its potential negative impacts on you as lawyers. And this may sound a little strange coming from someone practicing technology law, but bear with me. For lawyers in the modern world, technology is an imperative. It's a powerful tool for communication, information, and efficiency. But it is also a tool that, unless we are careful, allows each of us to avoid personal contact and communication. In the 30-plus years since my graduation, the emergence of technology in our personal and professional lives has been breathtaking. Most of it arose well into my adulthood, which is why I'm known as a digital immigrant, and you all are digital natives. And I'm the first to embrace the power and efficiency of technology, as my joke My friends joke about me being the earliest of early adopters, and I have a basement full of technology to prove it. Today, most of my law practice is devoted to companies whose innovation in technology makes our lives easier and better, and the technology available to me in my daily practice is breathtaking. Believe me, I do not want to go back to the era of faxing drafts to clients and waiting for their markups, or all the way back to carbon copies. Many of you may not know that the CC in your email actually came from carbon copies. I'm thrilled that technology will continue to change and improve as we practice law. All of us will need to adapt and to change and to capitalize on it. Some have called the changes that were wrought in the legal profession following the Great Recession in 2008 as an opportunity to embrace technology in new ways, to increase efficiency, improve profit margins, reduce client costs, and actually create new possibilities for legal craftsmanship, and that is true. But I despair in one way about the intrusion of technology into our personal lives and its potential to chip away at genuine personal relationships and real community. I recently read that there are more mobile devices in the world than toothbrushes. That's more than a little scary and maybe an untapped opportunity for pro bono dentistry. On the positive side, it reflects how technology today facilitates greater communication. Email, instant messaging, and texting have become the major tools of communication, and that's fine to an extent. But too often, we resort to the impersonal text instead of the personal phone call, and an email instead of face-to-face conversation or visit. I also read that a recent report that the average person now checks their mobile device every 6.5 minutes. And I know some people whose addiction is so bad they check it almost every minute. And I wonder, sadly, if being tethered to technology will cause us to lose the ability to have and capitalize on personal connections. And I'm not even talking about the distracted practice of law, the meetings spent with people looking at devices in their laps rather than paying attention to what is being said in the room. And I'm not talking about how the full expression of thoughts, ideas, and emotions gets lost through the resort to hasty emails and texts. I'm talking about the isolation and depersonalization that is a side effect of the overuse of technology. I should also point out that people say and do things on the internet that they likely would never do face-to-face in person. The reflexive use of texting rather than talking has contributed to a loss of civility in the online world. And for many people, the use of technology to communicate is an easy way to have a hit-and-run conversation, but not a true conversation. I recently watched comedian Jerry Seinfeld do a stand-up routine on The Tonight Show, and his topic was exactly what I'm talking about. I can't do justice to his delivery, but here's what he said. We call it a phone, but we don't really use it much as a phone, do we? Once we were given the option of talking or typing, talking lost. Talking is over. Who wants to talk? Do I have to talk to this person now? Who wants to talk? Talking is work. You have to make facial expressions that go with what you're saying, different hand gestures. Talking is over. It's obsolete. It's antiquated. I feel like a blacksmith up here. If you want, I can text you the whole thing and we can get out of here. Email, text, we love, because when we communicate with another person, we want them to know, I could have called you, but I chose not to. I decided that I only want to hear my half of the conversation. That's what I have to say. I think we're done here. So that Seinfeld routine reminded me of the old TV ad for United Airlines with the tagline, if you're the kind of business that believes personal service is better than lip service, we're here for you. Well, law is a business where personal service is critical, and it's also a social profession. Personal service and social interaction require real personal relationships, the kind you can't get with a tweet, a text, an email, or a voicemail. So I urge you to resist the lure of the shining screen. Yes, it may be easier to send a text or an email, and there are times when it makes sense to use those tools. But before you hit send, think about visiting with your colleagues, walking down the hall to speak to a fellow worker, and even getting in a car or plane to see your clients. Not only will it promote collaboration, better work product, colleagues who become friends, and clients who know you care, it will continue the sense of community you've had during your time here at WNL. So all of you really have a head start, because what makes Washington & Lee special is its emphasis on personal relationships and the importance of community. This is a place where people care about each other. People actually say hello to one another when they pass on the sidewalk at WNL. There are many law schools where people barely know one another. We're getting lost in the crowd as the norm and works lonely. But that's not WNL. WNL is a community, a caring community. A recent Gallup poll demonstrated that graduates who were emotionally supported in school were the likeliest candidates for well-being in their work lives. So you have a solid foundation for happiness. If you want to love your career as a lawyer, I urge you to take the culture of caring, of community, and of personal relationships with you as you leave Lexington. I hope this for you because it will make you happy personally and it will help you thrive professionally. And I can tell you that for me and so many W&L grads, keeping the W&L brand of community alive in our lives has contributed greatly to the personal and professional fulfillment we have. We have helped to export the W&L culture into the legal profession across the country and around the world, and the legal profession is better for it. As I approach the end of my remarks, I want to share something that was said by my first and most important mentor, a hero to me, Judge Aubrey E. Robinson, Jr., for whom I clerked right after graduating from W&L. Judge Robinson was one of the first black judges appointed to a federal district court. And Judge Robinson, while serving in the U.S. Army, was threatened with jail in the Deep South for speaking out in defense of the black woman who had been refused a seat in the white section of the bus. He said that only his belief that Americans were working to cure the cancer of discrimination sustained his duty as a soldier. He went on to have a distinguished career as a lawyer, joining in the fight against discrimination, and in 1966 was appointed by President Johnson to the federal bench. In 1982, the year I faced my clerkship, Judge Robinson gave an interview to the Washington Post and said it was his ambition to live long enough and work hard enough to leave a mark on this court, a credible mark. It made me realize in my own lifetime that it made a difference to the community that the court serves, that I was here. Judge Robinson certainly achieved this ambition, and my hope for all of us here today is that we can live long enough and work hard enough to leave a credible mark and to make a difference in our communities. Let me conclude where I started by congratulating you on the accomplishment you're celebrating today. You have great cause to celebrate. You've been trained by a great law school. You are joining a great profession. You are empowered to do great things in your lives and in the lives of others. So go forth, and most of all, enjoy it. And if you can find a restaurant in Lexington that can serve 12 for dinner, send me a text. Or better still, give me a call. Thank you.
I'm now calling George Robertson, the president of the third year class, and Doug Pittman, the vice president of the third year class, to the podium. They will present our traditional walking stick to Mr. Wolf.
The walking stick has been a tradition since 1920 at W&L, and for a brief hiatus, I think you were in the little section where you didn't get one because he graduated in 1980 and we resumed in 1981. So we would like to present you with a walking stick that all of the graduates got yesterday, and we'd like to present you one today, and we appreciate your remarks. Thank you very much.
Well, I had some wonderfully profound concluding remarks prepared for all of you, but I hope you all remember me as the person who made the call that maybe we should adjourn pretty quickly. But before we do, let me, on behalf of the graduates, thank the faculty and the staff for all that you've done. Our great facilities management crew who did a little bit of extra duty these last couple of days to get ready for us. And our intrepid signers who managed to get through all this. And on behalf of the university, I not only congratulate our graduates, but I thank you as well for privileging us with these previous 3 years of your lives. I hope you come back often, think of us often, and make us proud. We are adjourned. Godspeed and good wishes.